The Goat House is back, and we are through that big first wave of free agency. Here are the best available players at each position for maybe those teams that missed out on their top targets. There's some solid guys left, but teams better jump on it quick. The best available free agent quarterbacks. I went ahead and used a GOAT icon, threw it next to the names that, in my opinion, are overall the best players available. So some position groups have one, like quarterbacks. Some have multiple, or some have none. No linebackers that I thought were worthy of this video. If you need a starting linebacker, you better go to the draft or trade for one. Quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers is going to be one of the overall best players available, even though it's not a long-term solution. And I did throw some notes next to some names if I had quick thoughts, but seems like Steelers versus Giants right now. Vikings could be a sneaky wild card team. It almost seems like they're rather go J.J. McCarthy and add a different veteran perhaps, but they're maybe still in play. But I'm expecting, if I had to predict, I'd say Steelers, then maybe Giants. Gardner Minshew is actually expected to be officially available tomorrow, which is the 12th. So that one actually is not official yet, but a legit veteran backup that has starting experience. Russell Wilson feels like waiting on Aaron Rodgers' decision. Could end up being the Steelers quarterback if they don't get Rodgers. Giants an option. I heard the Titans as well. Then we have Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston as quality options too. You know, Winston can throw the ball, but he throws it to the wrong team a bit. But he will, you know, get your team some production. You know, he'll get your team moving on offense. And Mariota looked pretty decent when he filled in for the Commanders last year. Long list of solid running backs left still. I think the top one is Rico Dowdle. People would argue J.K. Dobbins. I thought Dowdle looked really good when he played for the Cowboys this year. They signed Javonte Williams. I guess it could mean they could bring him back still. I think the Raiders want to go to the draft for running back, but they could be a player for some backs. The Browns, the Steelers still need a guy. J.K. Dobbins, I would consider one of the best available if he didn't have the major durability concerns. He's hurt every single year. Last year felt like almost best case short-term injury, unfortunately. But he is super good. He's super explosive, super talented. I predicted the Steelers going into free agency, but I also thought the Browns were a realistic option as well. So those are the teams I'm looking for J.K. Dobbins. Kenneth Gainwell, a solid pass-catching option. I think there's some fits for him. The Saints, Kellen Moore there. Commanders seem like a logical landing spot. Back to the Eagles. I could see the Colts with Shane Steichen. The Browns could be as well. Nick Chubb, could he go back to the Browns? Where is he at in his career? You know, definitely taking steps down after the injuries, especially that last gruesome one. Miles Sanders was released today by the Panthers. Yeah, could he go back to the Eagles? I think the Colts were an option for him as a backup as well. I don't think a team's going to get him for him to be the starter. A.J. Dillon, news came out that he is good to go. He was a very solid RB2 before that, obviously very physical. Ty Johnson caught the ball very well for the Buffalo Bills out of the backfield. He's a sneaky one. And Kareem Hunt, I thought, played fairly well. So a long list of running backs. I mean, the super talented ones, you know, super talented might be generous, but Rico Dowdle and then J.K. Dobbins if Dobbins can stay healthy. But there are your best available backs in free agency right now. Quite a few solid veteran receivers still available. Stephon Diggs, to me, leads the way. Yes, he's coming off an ACL tear, but this guy was an elite receiver not too long ago. I mean, he's a guy that's going to give you some production. He's going to give you some good play. He can play inside and outside. Long list of teams I could still see him land. I would love for the Packers to go get him. They're looking for a veteran receiver. I think that would give him a boost, you know, as long as he's healthy. The Chargers as well. I would like to fit with the Commanders. They're not as desperate as some of these other teams I just mentioned. But I get the Patriots are still looking for a veteran receiver. My favorites would be the Packers or the Chargers, though, who have missed out on other receivers. Amari Cooper, you thought maybe the Bills would bring him back. I guess they still could, but they brought in Josh Palmer. They traded a lot for Cooper, so they're going to let him walk, but he was pretty damn disappointing. You know, especially with a great quarterback like Josh Allen. Maybe he wasn't 100% healthy. So, could see same teams. I could see the Packers or the Chargers really leading the way there. Could he end up going back to the Cowboys? Could Diggs go to the Cowboys with his brother? I know he plays the opposite side of the ball. So, a long list of teams, you know, still in play. Didn't list them in the graphic because I haven't really heard anything that they're narrowing it down to these teams, anything like that. Keenan Allen, my original prediction, because of the fit it being a fit that I love was the Broncos, so I went ahead and threw that in there. I'm going to stick with that original prediction. But yeah, Broncos, besides 2 signings, been a little quiet. I think some guys that they really liked, mainly at the linebacker position, got taken off the board before free agency. Thought they would end up with Juwan Johnson. The Saints ended up getting him back, so maybe they jump on Keenan Allen. Could he go back to the Bears? Certainly. Some talk about the Chargers, but they already have a slot receiver in Ladd McConkey these days. Allen was that slot receiver when he was last there. I like the fit with the Commanders, the Raiders. I just think the Broncos is clearly the best fit for me, so I went ahead and listed that. Tyler Lockett, my prediction was the Raiders, but I did like the Brian Schottenheimer connection with the Cowboys as well, but there are some other receiver-needy teams that we just talked about, Packers, Chargers, that I could see, but was counting on the Raiders for Tyler Lockett, original prediction. Elijah Moore almost threw the GOAT next to his name because he is very solid. I think he's underrated. Really solid slot receiver. Could be even more productive in the right system, the right quarterback. Chances are he probably goes back to the Browns, but teams looking for a slot receiver could use him. Teams like the Broncos, maybe the Steelers, maybe the Commanders, Titans, teams like that looking for a slot receiver. Could definitely see. Nick Westbrook-Akine, very underrated, 9-touchdown season with the Titans last year with their quarterback struggles. There's some specific fits that I liked before free agency that I still love right now. The Titans would like him back. The Panthers, I thought they would be in on Darius Slayton. They missed out on that. They still looking for a receiver. His old receiver coach, Rob Moore, is the Panthers receiver coach. And then you have the Patriots, missed out on some receivers. Mike Vrabel is there, familiar with Nick Westbrook-Akine. Wild card, Pittsburgh Steelers, connection with Arthur Smith. They did add DK Metcalf. They could use another receiver. Maybe, maybe not. Then DeAndre Hopkins showed a little bit of a decline last year. Could sit around for a little bit. Could he end up with a contender like the Ravens? I totally could see that. But this is where there's some decent guys left. Yeah, there are maybe all of them are declining. Maybe some have durability concerns, but some decent guys available. Teams, if they badly need a receiver, they better jump on it. Not much at all available at the tight end position, but some solid ones here. Evan Engram is a legit free agent option right now. It seemed like the pool of guys that were cut were really good, and a lot of them already signed with teams. Evan Engram, one of those guys. When he was cut, I pointed out the fits with the Chargers and the Broncos. Love those two. A sneaky one. Could have been a team like the Colts, perhaps. But and then he actually went on a visit to Denver to see the Broncos. Haven't heard anything about the Chargers right now, but I love that fit so much. I'd still keep an eye on those two teams. We'll see what happens there. Broncos missed out on Juwan Johnson, so they could end up signing the guy that they're bringing in for a visit. That is Evan Engram. Tyler Conklin is pretty underrated. Was with the Jets. Could he go back there? We'll see. Gerald Everett, maybe not as good as he once was, but a little bit of a weapon. Not much available for tight ends, but I think the draft class, in my opinion, I think a lot of people's opinion, is pretty solid, and there's 2 legit ones in the first round, but I think you have to have a top 14 pick or so to get one of, Tyler Warren, for sure Tyler Warren, but maybe Colson Loveland as well, which I've heard a lot of teams actually have him as their tight end one. I think most teams maybe Warren, but those are 2 legit tight end prospects, but there's some pretty good ones on day 2 as well. You might be able to get a good one in round 3 even. Offensive tackles, Cam Robinson's a legit guy that's still available. One of the best guys available in all of free agency right now. A legit left tackle. Not the best in the world, but good experience. Compared to the rest of these guys, the rest of these guys are either declining or have durability concerns or both. Robinson is way better than all of them. I originally predicted the Patriots, and that is also my favorite fit. We're going to stick with that. I'm going to be surprised, honestly, if he's not on the Patriots. Great fit. Doug Marrone's there, coaching offensive line. The Jaguars connection here between the two. They badly need a left tackle, unless they plan on taking one with the 4th overall pick. Certainly possible. They got to get Robinson in there. I mean, who else could he go to? Other teams that I linked him to the Patriots, but other teams I thought maybe the Chiefs, but they got Jalen Moore. Could they double up? Maybe the Commanders. They got Laramie Tunsil. Maybe the Bears could go to the draft. Maybe they like Braxton Jones still. I know he's only got 1 more year left in his deal. Titans got Dan Moore. Could the Vikings keep him and move him to left guard? Unlikely, but maybe, because they do have Darisaw coming back. Feels like the Patriots type of guy. I'm surprised he's still sitting around, but that could be big. Yeah, his price actually could go down because of that at this point, but we'll see. Jedrick Wills, former top pick, but durability concerns. It could be a sneaky cheap signing. Tyrone Smith, declining durability concerns. Trent Brown, same thing. DJ Humphries, definitely the same thing. So if you need a starting tackle, you better grab Cam Robinson, and you maybe should grab him quick. The guards and one center, Josh Myers being that center. I heard he might get paid more than expected, and I didn't love the sound of that because he's been underwhelming. He has not been good, and the Packers typically get more out of their linemen. They make them better, and he's been disappointing to me. Not that he's been awful. I originally predicted the Seahawks. I'm going to roll with that still. They're looking for interior offensive line. I could see the Niners. I could see the Giants. So there's two other teams, and there's probably more. Do the Raiders or the Patriots need a center? But I like the Seahawks, Niners, Giants next up there for Josh Myers. Teams that missed out on Dahlman and Ryan Kelly, looking at him right now. But Tevin Jenkins, I one of the top guys available. He was a little hot and cold with the Bears. I thought he was decent when he was actually healthy, so some durability concerns. And the Bears' offensive line was pretty dysfunctional, so I think in the right spot, he could be pretty solid. I love the fit with the Patriots, really good scheme fit. That's where I originally predicted as well, so I highlighted the Patriots once again. Mekhi Becton, one of the better ones available, played great when he played guard for the Eagles. Is he as good away from the Eagles? To be determined, maybe at guard, not a tackle, but I could put a long list of teams here. Giants, Texans, Seahawks for sure, Cardinals. I could put a lot of teams here. Patriots, back to the Eagles, the Saints with Kellen Moore. I can list a lot of teams. Kevin Zeitler, maybe near retirement, played well for the Lions last year. Could they bring him back? Are they ready for Mahogany to step up? I like the future for him, but is it now? Brandon Scherf, he's older, but he's a pretty solid right guard. I originally predicted Bengals, so we'll keep that. But I could totally see Texans, Titans. Yeah, same with Becton, too. Like a lot of the same guys I mentioned for Becton. Becton's younger. Scherf's pretty damn solid. Radins is former North Dakota State guy, somewhat of a big-time prospect. He is a cheaper option that could be better elsewhere. The Titans' offensive line really hasn't worked out recently. I highlighted the fits of the Patriots in the Vikings before free agency. Still like those fits. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going there, but I'd watch out for those teams. A guy that you bring into, you pay and bring in to be, maybe he could be the starter, but if not, he's a high-end backup for us, which is very important on the offensive line. Best available edge rushers in free agency led by Joey Bosa, one of those guys that were cut. That means, again, a good group of guys that were cut. A lot of them signed already. We originally predicted 49ers, still kind of rolling with that, but we heard the Dolphins are interested as well. They have a long list of pass rushers, but they're a lot of guys that have durability concerns. I'm really excited about Chop Robinson for the future. He looked really promising this year, but they could add Bosa. Azeez Ojulari is more of a high-end rotational guy, or use him on obvious passing downs, but has been pretty decent when he's healthy. I like the Bengals. That's where I predicted him because I felt like they were in on him at the trade deadline. The Falcons were as well. And then they just add Leonard Floyd as I was going to record this. Maybe not them. And the Titans could also use someone now since they moved on from Harold Landry. So those teams to watch for. Of course, there could be another team in there. DeMarcus Lawrence, I just always felt like it was back to the Cowboys or back with Dan Quinn, which would result in him going to the Commanders. Dante Fowler Jr. could definitely end up with the Commanders. He didn't really work out everywhere else, so I could see him there. Matthew Judon definitely declining a bit. And then the old Smith duo from the Green Bay Packers have been a bit since they've been on the Packers. Well, Preston Smith just last year, but before the trade deadline. But Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, longtime veterans that are available as well. But this group is very much led by Joey Bosa. Interior defensive line, Draymond Jones, I think is pretty solid. Last time when he played for Denver before going to Seattle, before getting that big contract, he was awesome. So playing that right role, 3-4 DN. I love the fit with the Vikings and the Panthers, but they've both added a lot on the D line. I guess the Panthers could still do it here, but there's got to be a home out there for him, somewhere. Dalvin Tomlinson will not officially be a free agent until Wednesday the 12th. That's because he was a post-June 1st cut, which means he's available on the official start day of free agency, which is the 12th. And he's pretty damn solid. He stops the run at a very high level. I still think he's got plenty of ball in the tank. Levi Onwuzurike, I think his best football is ahead of him. He played a lot for the Lions last year. I think he's got a bright future. Was kind of known as a tweener coming out of college. Like, teams going, where do we play this guy? Where does he align? So he's kind of just figuring out recently. So I like the Patriots fit, even though they already got Milton Williams. I could see it. I like the Jets fit back with Aaron Glenn, and then back to the Lions is most definitely still in play. So kind of an upside D tackle here compared to the other two. And you have Charles Omenihu who can play edge or inside. I think he just fits best with the Chiefs. Roy Lopez, a pure run stuffer from the Cardinals. Jerry Tillery, a little hot and cold, make a splash play here and there. but not the best D tackle in the world also available. So a few guys here, and then one not available till tomorrow, just like Minshew for quarterbacks. In this case, it's Dalvin Tomlinson. Again, there are linebackers available. I didn't think there was any worthy for me. I mean, they're all backups for me. You don't get those guys to start for you. If they're starting, then I think you got problems unless you figure it out in the draft. But corners, there's some solid corners left. Rasul Douglas, veteran corner, but really good in zone coverage. I would assume the Bills want him back, but I kind of like the idea of him going back to Green Bay. I could see Tampa for sure. Those teams really stand out to me. Asante Samuel Jr., the same teams. Like, you highlight the Bills, the Packers, the Bucks, maybe the Rams for these guys. Maybe the Panthers. They did bring Mike Jackson back, but highlight the same teams that like zone corners for Rasul Douglas and Asante Samuel Jr. Douglas older, Samuel younger. Douglas a little better, a little more physical if he has to be than Samuel Jr., but some two solid options left. Jonathan Jones can play inside and out. I think he's best in the slot. Very solid in man coverage, but a longtime veteran. Mike Hilton, kind of the same thing. He's known for one of the better blitzing nickel corners of all time. He is declining a little bit, though. That's the tricky part. Jonathan Jones, Mike Hilton, better in man coverage schemes, but at their age, typically they can't chase around the fast guys anymore. So do they go to more of a zone team? It's kind of up in the air what happens there. Brandon Echols comes from the Jets. He's a little bit of a sleeper guy here that should be cheaper, solid zone corner. Another one I could see, Packers, Falcons, maybe back to the Jets. They did add Brandon Stevens. 49ers I could see. Stephon Gilmore definitely declining, but can still play. Other guys, Kendall Fuller, Eric Stokes, Shaq Griffin, some other guys to watch there. Stokes, former first-round pick. Durability concerns, hasn't quite figured it out quite yet. In the safeties, Justin Reed led this group, but he just got taken off the board just a little bit ago. Saints got him. Pretty good deal. Jordan Whitehead, very versatile, can play in the box or can play free safeties. Recently played with the Bucks, Jets, and the Bucks before that. Marcus Williams once was a really good single high free safety, kind of dropped off a little bit. I do like the fit with the Titans. I was saying going into free agency, he's not actually officially available yet either. But I was saying going into free agency, watch for the Titans and the Colts. The Colts added Cam Bynum, much better option. Titans missed on some guys. I can totally see him back with Denard Wilson. This time with the Titans, though. That's their defense coordinator. Julian Blackmon's been with the Colts for a bit. Harrison Smith, maybe a future Hall of Famer, definitely declining a little bit, but can still play, very instinctive. To me, it's Vikings or retire. I know there's an opening with the Eagles. That could be interesting because it's maybe a guy that wants to fight for a Super Bowl still. Justin Simmons, Eagles make a lot of sense. Very familiar with Vic Fangio, a connection there. And they just traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So Justin Simmons, who he had a rough year last year, but once was considered elite or close to, but did struggle last year. But they also paired him with another free safety in Jesse Bates. So maybe he could play much better in Vic Fangio's defense or wherever he ends up. And then Damar Hamlin, who got a lot more playing time last year with the Bills, is also available. So there are some solid guys left, but in terms of like the legit guys that are for sure going to help your team, you're running a little thin. So it's a lot of teams that missed out on some guys, either guys that they were looking to get got taken off the board before free agency, or they just missed out, during free agency. So a lot of teams that have been a little quiet, unfortunately, unable to get better. Some teams even got worse. So maybe they can jump in and grab a guy or two, or maybe more, from this pool of free agents that are still available. So I wanted to jump on and do this after that massive wave of signings that already happened. Complete chaos on that first day. We're only halfway through the second, or a little more than halfway through the second day, but a lot of guys off the board. So we have a bunch of signing grade videos on the channel. Check those out. I still want to cover all the trades that happened. I feel like there's another trade or two going to go down any day now, perhaps with these guys that might be cut, might be kept, might be traded, whatever. So we will see. Join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. It's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.